Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're really focusing on you, the listener, and a mission that is, frankly, pretty high stakes.
Oh, absolutely. It's one of the most stressful things you can go through.
Right. We are talking about conquering the English job interview, but specifically, we're looking at that really intense transition from just passing academic exams, like the CET-4 or the CET-6, to actually surviving in the professional business world.
Which is a massive leap. It really is.
It's huge, and
Yeah.
we've got this incredible guide we're pulling from today called the Career Launchpad. And the whole core message here is that an interviewer, they aren't looking for a perfect dictionary, right? They're looking for a confident communicator.
Exactly. I think that's the biggest misconception people have. They walk into these interviews terrified they're going to use the wrong preposition, but the hiring manager is evaluating your executive presence, not grading your grammar.
Yeah. Preparing for an English interview, it isn't about memorizing a textbook. It's about learning a strategic performance.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's unpack this. Because how does someone go from just, like, reading English on a page in a classroom to confidently speaking it to a boss in a sharp suit?
Well, what's really fascinating here is the fundamental shift in mindset. You have to realize you're playing a different game now.
How so?
In an exam, you get points for raw volume, right? Proving, a ton of obscure vocabulary.
Yeah, the big fancy words.
Right. But in business, it's all about utilizing structured communication. It's about taking whatever level of English you do have and using it to demonstrate professionalism.
Okay, so since we're treating this interview like a strategic performance, we have to start with the opening move. And it's the one that just terrifies everybody, the dreaded, tell me about yourself.
Oh, yeah. The ultimate trap.
It really is. Because it's so open-ended.
And that's exactly why candidates fail right out of the gate. According to the Career Launchpad, the most common failure point is just immediately losing the interviewer's attention by rambling.
Like talking about your childhood or your favorite foods.
Exactly. Or your hometown. The hiring manager does not need your whole life story. They need to know if you can synthesize information. And the solution the source gives for this is brilliant. It's called the PPF framework.
PPF. Okay, what does that stand for?
Present, past, and future. It immediately forces your answer into a highly professional structure.
So put some guardrails up so you don't just start babbling.
Exactly. So let's look at the present part first. A typical student might just say, I am a student.
Which is, it's true, but it's pretty boring.
It's incredibly passive. You need to upgrade to professional phrasing. So instead of I am a student, you say something like, I am currently a senior student at university majoring in international business.
Oh, that sounds much better.
Right. Or even better, you frame it around your value. I am a dedicated student with a strong academic background in finance.
Yeah, saying academic background instantly sounds like you're a professional, not just a kid sitting in a lecture hall.
Exactly. It anchors you in the present with authority. Then you move to the past.
And this is where I feel like people freak out, right? Because they think, I'm a student, I don't have a past, I don't have a 10-page resume.
Which is a totally normal fear. But the source points out you don't need a long resume. You just need to discuss whatever you do, have internships, volunteer work, school projects, but you have to use power verbs.
Power verbs. Okay, give me an example of that.
So instead of saying, I did a project with my class, which sounds weak, you upgrade the verb. You say, I coordinated a team of 4 to conduct market research.
Oh, wow. Coordinated sounds so much more impressive than did.
Right. Or instead of, I helped my teacher, you say, I assisted in organizing an event. You're taking the exact same experience, but describing it with agency.
I love that. It really makes me think of, like, a movie trailer.
A movie trailer? How so?
Well, you aren't giving the interviewer the entire 2-hour movie of your life, right? Like, nobody wants to watch the boring scenes of you walking to the grocery store.
Yeah.
You're giving them the highly structured, action-packed highlights. You're giving them the explosions and the drama that makes them want to actually buy a ticket or, hire you.
That is a perfect analogy. You're just setting the hook.
Yeah.
And that leads right into the final F, which is the future.
Connecting it all back to them.
Precisely. You have to connect your skills to the company's goals. So you finish the trailer by saying something like, I'm eager to contribute my communication skills and my proactive attitude to your marketing team.
Man, contribute and proactive.
Mm-hmm.
Those words just hit differently.
They do. They show you aren't just looking for a paycheck. You're looking to add value.
So moving on from that, once you have this PPF movie trailer structure, you need the right script, right? Like, how do we make sure the actual words we use match this really professional structure we just built?
This is where we get into the vocabulary power-up. And the guide makes a really sharp distinction here between getting points for big words on a test versus using professional words in an interview.
Right, because nobody talks like a textbook in a real office.
Exactly. You want to show English proficiency through precision, not just complexity.
What's a good example of an upgrade?
Let's take the word hardworking. People love saying, I am hardworking.
Sure, it's a classic.
But it's a bit basic. The guide suggests upgrading that to diligent or conscientious.
Conscientious, that's a great word.
It is, because it doesn't just mean you work long hours. It means you're careful, you take your work seriously, and you don't need to be babysat.
Okay, what else?
Good at. Instead of saying, I am good at Python and Java, upgrade it to, I am proficient in, or I am skilled in.
Proficient in Python.
Yeah, that sounds like something you'd actually read on a real professional's LinkedIn profile.
Exactly. But the most important one, I think, is replacing the word help.
Help. What's wrong with help?
When you say, I helped my team, it subtly positions you as an underling, an assistant. The upgrade is to use collaborate or facilitate.
Oh, so like, I collaborated with my teammates to achieve our goal.
Yes. It shows you are a team player, an equal contributor. Using these specific upgrades can seriously make your English level feel like it jumped from like a level 4 to a 6 in just 2 minutes.
Okay, and here's where it gets really interesting. If a listener is already nervous about their English, right? Maybe they have an accent or they're scared of freezing. Doesn't trying to use a 5-syllable word like conscientious run the risk of them sounding robotic or just unnatural if they stumble over it?
That is a very valid concern. But the guide addresses this beautifully. It explains why these words matter, and it's actually not about flawless pronunciation.
It's not. No. It's about demonstrating a high level of effort and respect for the professional environment.
Oh, I see.
When you make the effort to say facilitate instead of help, even if you stumble slightly, you are signaling to the interviewer that you took the time to learn their business terminology. You're showing operational maturity.
So the attempt itself earns you the respect, even if the execution isn't 100% perfect.
Exactly. It proves you understand corporate culture.
That is such a relief to hear, honestly. Takes a lot of the pressure off. But speaking of pressure, having the right structure and impressive vocabulary is great when you are the one talking. But what happens when the interviewer throws a curveball that just makes you panic?
Ah, yes. The killer questions.
Yeah, like the absolute worst one. What is your greatest weakness?
It's the ultimate trap. And the source warns against 2 extreme reactions candidates usually have.
Arrogance being one of them, I assume.
Right. Saying, oh, I have no weaknesses, I'm just a perfectionist. Interviewers hate that. It shows zero self-awareness.
And what's the other extreme?
The deal breaker. Being way too honest and saying something like, well, I'm actually incredibly lazy in the mornings.
Yeah, please don't say that if you want the job. So what is the actual winning formula here?
The formula is self-awareness plus improvement. You pick a real skill, but crucially, one that isn't essential for the job you're applying for.
Okay, so if I'm applying to be a software engineer, I don't say my weakness is coding.
Exactly. You pick something adjacent, and then you show initiative in fixing it.
Could you give us an example of how that sounds?
Sure. You could say, in the past, I found it challenging to speak in front of large groups. However, I have been practicing by joining a public speaking club to enhance my confidence.
Oh man, that word enhance is doing a lot of heavy lifting there.
It really is. It shows you're helping yourself. You aren't just sitting around waiting for a manager to fix your problems.
You're taking control. I love that.
Yeah.
But let's take the panic scenario even further. What about the dreaded brain freeze? You know, when your nerves just completely take over and your brain just flatlines.
It happens to the best of us. And the natural instinct is to fill the silence with or while you stare blankly.
Which just makes you look even more terrified.
Right. The guide says absolutely do not do that. Instead, you need a pre-planned filler phrase to buy yourself time.
Like an emergency ripcord.
Exactly. You look at them, nod, and say, that's an interesting question. Let me think about that for a second.
That's an interesting question. Let me think about that for a second. It's almost like a tactical timeout in sports.
A tactical timeout. I like that.
Like instead of fumbling the ball under heavy pressure, the coach calls a timeout. You're intentionally pausing the game to catch your breath, let the adrenaline drop, and set up your next play.
That's exactly what it is. It gives you a literal 5-second breathing window. And physically, that allows your brain to reset. But socially, it makes you look incredibly composed and thoughtful.
Because instead of looking like you're panicking, it looks like you're just deeply considering their very smart question.
Exactly. You flip a moment of weakness into a display of confidence.
It's pure strategy. Now, to kind of wrap up the tactical advice here, everything we've talked about so far relies on what actually comes out of your mouth.
Right.
The vocabulary, the structure.
Yes.
But the source material notes there is this entirely unspoken layer to the interview that can instantly give you an edge over the competition.
The unspoken basics. These are so crucial, and yet so many candidates overlook them because they're too busy worrying about their English grammar.
Right. What are the big ones?
Attitude is massive. Just wearing a genuine smile and maintaining steady eye contact.
It sounds so simple, but when you're nervous, you tend to look at the floor.
You do, but eye contact projects trust. However, the ultimate secret weapon the guide emphasizes, the one thing that gives you a massive advantage, is punctuality.
Just showing up on time.
Simply being on time. The guide states that just by walking through the door right on schedule, you automatically make yourself better than 20% of the other candidates.
That is just crazy to me. It's such a striking irony that punctuality, literally the one thing that requires absolutely zero English proficiency, is the foundational power move that makes all the advanced vocabulary actually matter.
Because it proves reliability. If you can't manage your own schedule to get to the interview, why would they trust you with a complex project?
Exactly. So what does this all mean for you, the listener? It means preparation isn't just about reading a dictionary. It's a mix of verbal skill and just basic professional respect.
And to really lock this in, the Career Launchpad actually gives a homework application for the listener.
Oh, nice. What's the homework?
I challenge you to mentally draft your own present sentence right now, wherever you're listening to this.
From the PPF framework.
Right. Use your current job or your major and incorporate one of those power words we talked about, like dedicated or proficient.
I'm a dedicated professional, proficient in data analysis.
Exactly. And then outline how you want to contribute to your dream company. Just practice saying it until it feels totally natural. Say it in the shower, say it on your commute. Make it muscle memory.
Because once it's muscle memory, the panic disappears.
So just to summarize this entire journey for you today, you might have started this deep dive feeling pretty nervous about the language barrier, right? Worrying that your English isn't perfect enough for the business world.
A very common fear.
But look at what you have now. You have a strategic highlight reel using the PPF framework. You have upgraded professional vocabulary that proves your maturity. You've got a tactical timeout phrase for those scary brain freezes. And you know that just showing up on time puts you ahead of the pack.
It's a complete toolkit. And, it really brings up a fascinating final thought that I want to leave you with.
Let's hear it.
We've talked so much today about how the PPF framework, moving clearly from your past evidence to your future contributions, changes how an interviewer sees you.
Right. It structures their perception of you.
But consider this. How might applying that exact same framework to your own internal monologue change how you see yourself?
Oh, think about it. When you stop focusing on your past mistakes or your anxieties about your language skills and instead focus on your proven past agency and your potential future value, how does that rewrite your own potential, regardless of what language you happen to be speaking?
That is just incredible. It's not just about convincing them, it's about convincing yourself that you belong in that room.
Exactly. The confidence has to start from within.
Well, that is definitely something to chew on. Thank you all so much for joining us on this deep dive. Go draft your PPF, take a deep breath, and go crush that interview. We will catch you next time.